By 1829, London was devouring itself. 1.5 million people were packed into a city tearing down its own past to make space for the future. Buildings were condemned before their mortar had fully set. Streets vanished almost as quickly as they were drawn on maps. Standing in the middle of this controlled chaos was a man armed with nothing more than paper, ink, and urgency. A witness racing against time. In this film, we use modern AI to bring the lost London of Thomas Hosmer Shepherd back to life, stepping off the archive page and walking streets erased long before your ancestors were born. We begin at St. Martin's le Grand in 1829. Before us stands the General Post Office, new, radiant, and immaculate. The limestone is still white. Ionic columns rise from freshly cut stone. This was not merely a building. It was the central nervous system of the British Empire. Behind these walls, over 200 sorters worked in relentless shifts. Letters from Kolkata. Death notices from Jamaica. Marriage proposals crossing the Irish Sea. Every secret, every command, every whispered promise passed through this single structure. In the foreground, mail coaches arrive, iron wheels grinding cobblestones into powder beneath their weight. Shepherd captured the scene in the very year the building opened, knowing what London has always known: nothing lasts. In the distance, St. Paul's Cathedral watches silently. Less than a century later, in 1912, the post office would be demolished. We travel north, toward the quiet, windswept fields of King's Cross. Here stands the Foundling Hospital, established in the 1740s as a refuge for abandoned children in a city that could be merciless to the small and the poor. Shepherd's inkwash captures its solemn dignity, a fortress of charity amid indifference. The building is gone now. But the ground remains, preserved as a public park, where echoes of forgotten lives still linger. Rising above the trees of Regent's Park like a Roman temple stands the Colosseum. Built in 1827, this was not a place of blood and spectacle, but of imagination. Inside its vast circular walls was the panorama, an enormous painting that allowed Londoners to see their entire city from the sky without ever leaving the ground. A Regency-era virtual reality. Shepherd painted its grand Greek portico decades before it was deemed obsolete and demolished in 1875. A building created to celebrate the city, ultimately consumed by its expansion. The shadows guide us to the soot-blackened boundary of the Strand, Temple Bar. For centuries, this was the physical throat of London, the gate marking the western limit of the city's authority. Likely designed by Christopher Wren in the 1670s, it became a bottleneck of human congestion. Shepherd rendered every stone with care, documenting the chaos that would lead to its removal in 1878. While the bridge itself was destroyed, the gate was granted a strange immortality, exiled to the countryside for a century before returning to London in 2004. We slip away from the streets and descend to the still, stagnant waters of Regent's Canal. This is Macclesfield Bridge. Shepherd captures it in a rare moment of pastoral calm. But history hides a darker truth. In 1874, a gunpowder barge named Tilbury exploded beneath these arches. 3 men and a boy were vaporized instantly. Windows shattered miles away. The bridge Shepherd painted was obliterated. What stands here today is a replacement, a ghost of the stone rib he once preserved. Back in fashionable Piccadilly, London reveals its eccentric soul. The Egyptian Hall, London's Temple of the Strange. An exhibition space housing Napoleon's bulletproof carriage, mammoth skeletons, and wonders from across the world. Shepherd documented this architectural fever dream as the city fell in love with the exotic. The gods on its facade watched the crowds pass until 1905, when they were removed to the London Museum, the last surviving fragments of this lost palace of curiosity. The year shifts to 1851. We stand inside Hyde Park beneath the Crystal Palace, a cathedral of glass built for the Great Exhibition. Light floods the space. Industry and optimism reign. Shepherd's own sons, Frederick and Valentine, would have seen this marvel before it was moved to Sydenham and finally consumed by fire in 1936. Through the glass ceiling, the Reconstruction reveals a world convinced it had conquered nature itself. But every city of stone is also a city of bones. We are led into the quiet courtyard of Cures College, homes for the poor and the elderly. Shepherd's attention here becomes hauntingly personal. Look closely at the gravestone. Carved into the simulation is his own name. Th. Shepherd, 1852. A rare moment where the artist steps into his own work, leaving a signature in a place he knew would eventually vanish beneath progress. The shadows deepen. We arrive at the Clerkenwell House of Correction. Shepherd painted it shortly before its demolition. The brickwork is precise, but it is the figures that tell the story, the guards, the weary families, the machinery of punishment. To build the new London, the old suffering had to be buried beneath fresh foundations. We reach Leadenhall Street. East India House. This was Shepherd's first known work, created when he was just 16 years old. From these neoclassical rooms, the East India Company ruled a subcontinent. The fate of millions decided with strokes of ink. The building was demolished in 1862, just 2 years before Shepherd himself passed into history. Our journey ends in the 1820s at the old Fleet Market, built over the buried River Fleet. The everyday chaos of life unfolds: meat, vegetables, mud, and desperation. And look closely. Shepherd almost always left a signature. A small black dog, trotting through the street. A quiet claim. A fragment of life in a city he knew was about to be erased to make way for Farringdon Street. Subscribe, and help us keep the past alive. We'll see you in the next reconstruction.